Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, we're up to 287 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's waiting on the right card to move tonight?
It's everyone's favorite king of useless knowledge, Joe Butler, but this weird guy behind me in my mind keeps saying my name is John for some reason.
It's demented, haunted clown baby Carusetta Kerry Chandler.
And this is Joseph Larrey, and I'm hiding from some creepy dolls.
Welcome, your first time on the show.
Yes, it is. I'm excited to be here.
And you joined us to talk about probably the weirdest Metal Gear game we have covered on this podcast, and that's saying something.
Yeah, that's really saying something.
Yeah.
It is. This is weirder than Rising.
I think Rising's pretty fucking weird, honestly. But okay.
Yes, but Rising makes sense. When you go Metal Gear, you go Action Raiden. Okay. When you go Metal Gear, but with cards and a strategy turn-based, you go, what? So,
yeah, that's not the weird part.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. You are right. The story is, I shouldn't know what we're talking about. We are here to talk about Metal Gear Acid. Came out, or developed by Konami, published by Konami, came out in 2004, 2005 in America, for the PSP. It was a launch title, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I got this at launch with my PSP.
My friend did too, but he didn't like it. I remember that. I remember he got this because he used the money he was supposed to use, I think, towards college, and he bought a PSP instead with.
That's how expensive PSPs were, and how cheap college was.
I mean, it was 2004 or 5. I mean, it wasn't that cheap, but yeah, that's what he spent his money on. Some of his money that he had.
You know, Mike, I know you do your year in gaming. You should really do like stuff about like consoles, because I always love it. It's always the handheld consoles that do really gimmicky stuff. Mm-hmm. You should just like invite people on, talk about some of their games that they had. Because I know this one doesn't do it, but Metal Gear Acid 2 has like the whole Japanese like Metal Gear Eye, where you were able to turn your fucking PSP into a VR headset and look at Metal Gear Solid porn, I think. But
if you hold it up to your face, because the glasses went on top of the PSP, so you literally have to just hold it up to your face or something stupid. But yes.
Yeah, you use like the Virtual Boy, like lay on your back and put it and rest it on your face.
Oh, yeah.
That would kill your eyes.
Yep.
Yeah. So the Virtual Boy.
Oh, yeah, sure, too.
I mean, they have 3D cameras like that, too, for like your phones you can get. Because we sold one. I used to work at FedEx. It was really bad. I was like, I'll buy this for clearance, because I was the guy to stock fucking the store. So I'm like, get rid of this. I don't want to see it anymore. And I bought it for like $3. I'm like, this is terrible, and I threw it away. But it went on you could like put your phone inside this thing and it hooked on, and you could wear it on your head. But it was just terrible. It was stupid. So, but yeah, that's what I thought of. All right, so I would like to start with memories. I knew this game existed because my buddy got it back in 2005. I remember him playing it for a little bit, and he said it was stupid. And I'm pretty sure I own it. And I bought it at a pawn store years ago, but I didn't check my video games until we start talking. And then I have a physical copy of this. So yeah, but I never played it. I've always been curious too. That's my history. What about you, Joe?
I've also never played this. I remember hearing a lot about it, and this is like the heyday where like X-Play existed. So they're like, oh, this game's fucking weird. And of course, this game, which I'll get into it later on, but this game is very much made not by Hideo Kojima and made by a complete Japanese man who worked with him, obviously. But yeah, if it was a Hideo Kojima game, it'd be something where like you'd be in a cutscene, Snake would be dying, and he'd be like, "There's only one way to get out of this," and then it would go into gameplay, and it would have like a card that he would use. But sadly, we don't have that.
That's okay. And Kerry.
Yeah, well, so as I've said on previous episodes, Metal Gear is that series that I know the most about while having played the least of the games. I've only played and beaten MGS 1, 2, and 3, but I'm like compared to a normal person, I'm very knowledgeable about the series. I'm probably not knowledgeable to compare to like real fans, but yeah, I guess I heard about this one like 10 years ago, and I can't remember if I downloaded it and put it. I'm pretty sure I had it on my modded PSP, and then I put it on my Vita when I made my Vita, but then I've never actually booted it up until for this podcast. So,
well, I'm glad I could change your life.
Yeah, so no memories for me.
And Joseph.
Like I mentioned previously, I picked this up at launch with my PSP. Metal Gear is my favorite game franchise. I was so excited for this game, and when I loaded it up, tried playing it, I was very confused by what was going on at the time. Back 2004, there weren't too many card strategy hybrid games like there are nowadays, and it was just very confusing, and I kind of put it down and forgot about it for the longest time.
That's fair. That is very fair. So for those that don't know, this is as I kind of said, but card-based, turn-based strategy game where you play as Snake, but not Solid Snake that you know, because this takes place in an alternate universe where Metal Gear 1 happened, then Metal Gear Ghost Babel for the Game Boy Color happened, then this game happened. So Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear 2 don't happen.
What?
It's an alternate universe, like this Metal Gear Ghost Babel, which is a great game, also only called Metal Gear Solid in America, which is stupid.
For the Game Boy Color.
Yes, great
to
game.
be clear. It's called Metal Gear Solid in the US for the Game Boy Color, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
But it takes place in an alternate universe where he does the first Metal Gear fight in the first game, then he retires and he never comes back out of retirement until the Ghost Babel incident, and then he does this. Ghost Babel's not mentioned in this game, but in some of the stuff for Acid 2, there is stuff that references that Ghost Babel did happen in this universe.
Also, the director of Ghost Babel directed this game as well.
Okay, that also makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna start getting those people together because apparently the one of the guys that helped create, what's the one that he's really famous for, Kojima, the Snatcher, is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah.
The guy that made one of the guys that helped him make Snatcher is apparently doing the remake for Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
The Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that.
I am
super looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of my favorite video games. So
Great fucking game.
You can even put the piss filter back on it, and you can use the original camera angles on it as well.
I love 3.
that's okay.
So this game it's just very, very strange. I mean, it does operate like a Metal Gear game. You can play stealthy, you can stay out of, there's alert modes, you shoot people, but everything is based on cards and everything is based on squares and timing, and it's just a weird mess of a game at first.
Yeah, weird mess is a good way to put it. Like, I kind of think this is a really good game that is held back by a lot of problems. It has like a lot of issues that keep me from really liking it very much. So I'm enjoying it to an extent, and I'm like, man, this is brilliant. I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. But man, there's these frictions that just make it unfun at times. And I tapped out on it whenever I lost 2 hours of progress by saving my effing game. Because it doesn't tell you that if you save in the middle of a mission, it resets the beginning of the mission. Now you get all the stuff you got, all the cards you may have earned, I guess.
All the cards.
Actually, I don't know. I guess you do. Maybe. I mean, what on earth is even the point of saving in the middle of a mission if it puts you back at the beginning of the mission? But it was a long, tedious mission to begin with, and I was just like, nope, I'm done. If I had like 2 more weeks for this, I would get back to it. But I think it is a really good game that is just held back by these really rough frictions. I mean, I would say and there's just little tweaks you can make that I think if this game was made in 2024, they would maybe make.
Yeah, they would.
Like, an ability to save in the middle of a mission is like handheld system 101. This is a handheld system. Give me the ability to turn it off. And of course, I'm playing on my Vita, so I can suspend it, right? But still, there needs to be like a save, come back later thing in the middle of missions. But the other one is they need to make movement just a thing you do. Discarding cards to move I think is dumb. You could have move cards let you move further, but you know how like if you're standing next to someone, there's just a punch action that doesn't use a card? Have a move action. Have a move 3 squares action. And then, make all the movement cards 4, 5, 6. But having you like get rid of like, I've got a handful of guns and I've got to, and I don't even need to move. I need to turn my character 90 degrees. I've got to burn a card. I got to burn a card to turn 90 degrees. It's just like things like that. It's very, and then there's lots of stuff it doesn't explain. And then and then cost was also something I would just completely get rid of.
Cost super confused me. Could someone please explain that for me?
I can. Or maybe Joseph, you want to. You probably know better than me.
I mean, the way that I interpret the cost was that each card in the upper right-hand corner has like a number, and every time you use a card, that number you add that number to your total. So by the end of your turn, if you use a certain number, like use a card that equal 12, then you got to wait 12, I guess, turns before you can move again.
Yes.
Yeah, it basically determines your order in the active time queue, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
In the turn queue. So if if you don't have any costs, and it took me forever to figure that out. And even then, I didn't understand it. And I guess it said it in a tutorial at some point, but
It says it a little bit, but it's not super clear on it.
yeah.
I didn't understand it till much later in the game that it started to make sense. I mean,
Well,
I didn't understand this game, I would say, until near the end, when I started to really understand what I was doing and how to play it.
Yeah.
Well, there's the mission that I tapped out on is pretty early in the game. It's like 4 hours in. I was looking at a Let's Play, and it was at like the 20% mark of their Let's Play, so I didn't get very far, I guess. I felt like I was further than I was. This is one where you have to go and you have the two characters, and you have to step on switches to open doors.
Oh,
And you have
that's
to, and so like, all right, well, I've got my helper character standing on a switch. I'm going to need them to stay on this switch for the next like 10 rounds. So every time it comes to their turn, I press X end, but then it's their turn again because they had 0 cost. So I press X end again. All right, now it's their turn for a third time. All right, X end. All right, now it's a guard's turn. All right, now it's their turn again. It's like, Jesus Christ, just let me just switch to the other character.
That is one of the worst levels in the game, and it's at 20%.
It's one of the worst levels in strategy gaming like I've ever played. It was very frustrating.
It took me 2 hours.
And then I was like 2 hours in. I'm like, I'm going to save. And then I came back and loaded. I'm like, all right, I'm at the beginning of this fucking level. Jesus Christ.
Because it doesn't warn you. There should be a menu that pops up that says, if you save this, you are going to start over. Do you want to do this? Because when you try to return to intermission, it warns you and tells you, do you want to do this?
Right. If you try to return to intermission, it tells you that's going to happen. But when you save, it just says saving game, and then it takes you to the main menu.
Yeah, it's just.
But it's little things like that, and it doesn't explain how equip guns work.
Not at all.
I had to ask the chat how the equipping guns works.
The problem with
I had to ask Reddit.
The problem with the issue with the game is it explains all this in the intermission. It gives you so much information at once that you have a really hard time processing or figuring out exactly what you need to do.
It also feels random what it tells you in the intermissions.
Yeah.
And it would tell me the same things over and over again sometimes too.
And the equip thing, I didn't like when I thought like that each character, because like midway through this game, or maybe early on in this game, you do get 2 characters. I had thought that somehow the other character was going to maybe she couldn't use the FAMAS that I was using a ton of for my main for Snake. And I'm like, okay, it's just the way the game plays. You just use 2 different, styles of characters. Like, okay,
she
whatever.
She uses equip only guns. Yeah, exactly.
But she doesn't. Right. It just, the menu didn't show the FAMASes that I had until I changed on the top the way to view them.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Because I went to go edit her deck and it didn't show me any of my cards that I owned until you told me, oh, you have to go to like view by type or something like that.
Yes.
And yeah, it's just stuff like that.
It makes no fucking sense. You're like, but why?
Why?
And I don't have a reasonable answer.
No, and that's, I think the mechanics of it are really the biggest friction, right? It's those things that you could solve. And I think now, or why not have the ability to have multiple decks? And I've got my deck that's got lots of I know this place I'm going into is going to have lots of robots, so this deck has got lots of chaff grenades and Nikitas and whatnot, or not Nikitas, stingers, right? And then I've got this, but no, you can't have separate decks. And then there's key cards. There's like certain cards you have to have in your deck to progress, but you don't know you're going to need them until you get to the area, and then you don't have the cards you need, and you have to start the mission over.
Sometimes they do tell you when the mission starts, but I think there's a mission where they don't tell you.
Well, a couple of times it does. Like, it doesn't tell you when you're going to need the level 1 key card. It doesn't tell you when you're going to need a mine detector.
Yep.
Or if it does, I didn't see it.
It doesn't tell you with the mine detector.
It does tell you, like, oh, you're going to need C4. Okay, cool. So I'll put the C4 in my deck. But then, will I need the C4 again? I guess I can use it as a weapon. That's fine. And there's other stuff, like, one of the ones that got me was one of the times that I had to restart a mission. I was being chased by guards, and so I ran into a room, and I put a claymore between me and the door, and then the guards refused to come in the room because they knew the claymore was there. They can't see the claymore, they just know.
They do know.
So they just won't go in the room. So it's like, all right, well, I guess I got to exit the room. And then I discovered there's no way to get out of this room because I placed a claymore in front of the door, thinking the guards are going to run in and blow it up. And I couldn't figure out. I was like, I guess. And so I walked into. I was like, well, I'll walk by it, and died. Which of course, but I'm like, there's no way to pick it up. I guess I could have shot it.
You could have shot it, yes, but
yeah, I could have shot it. Yeah, I thought about that later, but
I'm gonna make you really mad, Kerry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's the original Metal Gear thing. You had to crawl over it. You can crawl over it. You recollect it.
Yes.
Oh God. Of course. Of course.
That makes sense. The game tells you that.
All right, that's cool. No, but if you're a Metal Gear, as a Metal Gear fan, I should have known that I should have crawled over it. Of course.
But I mean, like, it feels needlessly complicated at points. Like, I went through points where I hated this game, and I had moments where I was in love with this game. Like, and it was such a slingshot effect at times where I'm like, this game's amazing. This game's a piece of shit. Fuck this game. Then I played.
Yeah, that's it exactly. I ended up watching a Let's Play, so I got to see all the boss fight. Well, the boss fight, the 2 boss fights.
There's a few.
I guess 3. Yeah.
3, 4. There's 4. No, 6.
There's Leon.
5 technically.
There's Leon. There's the clown. There's the Metal Gear. Which one am I?
There's Leon again, and you fight the clown again.
Okay, so all right, so there's 3 bosses, 5 fights. All right.
Well, one is clown. One is actually your partner that you think is the clown.
Right, but still, the clown is impersonating Toliko, and then you're fighting Toliko, who you think is the clown. It's still,
yeah, I know.
Like I'm saying, I don't know.
I will admit, I did see, because I only played like maybe the first 2 missions of this game because I'm always super busy. What is it? I do think that having a mission where you're fighting the other character and it's a big board, and the board colors affect your your range and all that other stuff. I do think that's really neat and really cool.
Oh yeah, I thought that board game thing, aside from being batshit crazy, was a really cool idea.
I swore so much at my Steam Deck at that part. I was sitting there with my wife, and we're watching something together, and I could not stop swearing at the Steam Deck. I'm like, fuck! And I felt bad because it took me forever to finally get that fight to work. I literally just hid in one square and shot Nikita's at her, and it finally worked.
Yeah, I love the Nikita in this, by the way.
I didn't have the mine detector, but I learned where the mines were by blowing up so many times, and she puts them in the same spot. So I just memorized where the mines were, and I'm not okay with that fact.
Now, can you crawl over the mines?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
but you don't get them to actually use them. You just walk over them, and they go away.
Yeah, still.
But she will shoot claymores if you put them down, but Nikita missiles will hit her. But, like, there's a trick. If you stand I stand on a certain square, and I eventually got her just to get locked in a spot, and I was able to hit her with Nikitas and eventually kill her. But it was terrible because she could murder me if I got out in the open.
Yeah.
The Nikita was fun. I like that.
Nikita's cool. It worked in turn-based except for the part when the guards would notice it and their turn came first.
Yeah, that was the thing. The guards were like really smart compared to regular Metal Gear. They always like knew exactly the range of every grenade. Exactly,
unless they don't know if you're not in alert mode and you throw it, they will stick around and get blown up.
Oh, I definitely had some bad luck of them just randomly walking away from it. Then the grenades take too long to go off too, but that's.
Well, I did have one time where I must have fucked up on cost, where Leon threw a grenade at me, and I'm like, okay, I'll just walk away, and then it blew up before I got my turn. So
yeah, I guess it's based on cost.
You can shoot the grenades too to blow them up.
Yeah,
which
you can.
Does the game tell you that?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
I mean, that's how I end up using grenades later on. I'm like, you have way too much health. So I need explosives, so we're just gonna shoot the grenade I threw at you. So
I didn't know you could do that till I watched someone when I was watching the Let's Play, and they kept doing that. They would throw a grenade and then shoot it with their second action. I was oh, yeah, that's smart.
You can also give Snake more actions too, which I did not know until before we started recording when I read something. You can also, which I didn't find out until the last.
How do you get him a third action?
No idea.
Card, yeah, it's a card.
Oh, it's a card. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got that. Yeah.
You can equip more spots, because you start out with just 2, where you can equip a gun if you need to. Certain guns you don't need to, some you do. You can also equip a key card, body armor. You can get that when you have 6 or 8 slots. I never knew that because I never did more than 4 with the equip level 2 cost card. I didn't really use much.
Right.
The game did not explain that either. It said you can equip
Yeah.
this, and I'm like, do my weapons get better? What the hell goes on? I didn't
And
understand.
the equip thing was weird because there were like certain equipment cards that affect other equipment cards, but only if they're facing a certain direction from them. Right?
And only
Like
if they're equipped to the. I think you can equip stuff to the weapon, right? Or you equip like the Sniper Wolf card to a gun, right?
well, yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, like, I know there's like one card I had where it's like it affects equipment in the slot to the right of it or something like that.
Yeah, the equipment cards, if you look when you equip them, they have like a red or a green or like a blue border around them. And depending on how you align them, they can get pluses or minuses.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where is this
exactly.
explained?
That feels like it should be its own
It is not
game.
explained.
Okay,
That
good.
feels like its own game, like a different game than this.
So I beat
It's
this
too many
game,
layers of complexity.
and I have no idea what you just told me, Joseph. Like, I did not know that was a thing at all.
Yeah, it's like the deck that Taliko starts with, her like starting deck, has like 3 of those cards. Because her starting deck is all based around equipment, basically.
Yes,
Which, again, you can just give her a completely different deck if you want to, though.
I did right. I did within a couple missions once I figured out.
Once you told me I could do it and how to do it, then yeah, I immediately like gave her a bunch of like, because I had like 8 pharmacists because I kept buying MGS 1 packs. That is something else I thought was cool. Is I like the fourth wall break thing where it like plays like a commercial for whenever you unlock a new deck.
Yeah.
Or a new card pack. It's like, it's Metal Gear Solid 1. We've got Vulcan Raven. We've got Liquid Snake. We've got the Nikita. It was
so cool.
It was fun. And this game is very much a love letter to fans of the series in terms of just the nonstop references. There's like in the cards. I think I read there's like something like 600 something cards or something like that. I'm trying to remember how
I
many.
think it's 300 to 400.
Yeah, it's
400.
Is it 400? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
There might be 2 that when we play Acid 2 someday that has that insane amount.
Oh yeah, it might be MGS2 I was reading about, but just like there's so many things, and there's like cards there's cards from the MSX games, there's cards from Zone of the Enders and Police
Knots and
Police
Snatcher.
Knots and Snatcher.
Yeah.
They got like that Gundam, that definitely not a Gundam from Zone of the Enders.
It's
They
not
also-
a Gundam.
I didn't get the card, but I saw it in my because you also have a card
orbital
shop.
frames. Orbital frames,
Yes,
what they
orbital
call them in
frames.
Zone of the Enders. Yeah, but they're the most Gundam-esque Gundams ever.
Uh-huh.
But speaking of which, the Metal Gear in this is the most Gundam Metal Gear.
Yeah, it is.
I think of the whole series, which I love. I mean, I've got 5-6 Gundams on the desk or on the shelf in front of me right now. So
Oh, you have.
I only build them. I only build the models. I don't watch the anime, but
That's fair. I was gonna say you haven't seen Saha for Lamprepis, have you, Kerry?
no, I'm not a huge anime person. I'm not anti-anime, and I just have never gotten around to Gundam.
No. I'm talking about Saha Lamprepis, the Metal Gear from Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh no, I guess not, because no, I haven't played Metal Gear Solid 5 yet.
Yeah, that thing is just a fucking Zone of the Enders fucking mech.
That's
Doesn't
cool.
make sense because that takes place before Metal. I need to play it someday.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, we'll get to it someday. I'm
Oh, yeah, definitely get to it
slowly
someday.
working toward getting all the Metal Gear games in this. So, like, there's also a card shop where, because you can buy booster packs, which I fucking love buying booster packs. I found out. Thank God, Marvel
You
Snap
like
doesn't have
you
booster
like
packs.
unlock them, and then you can buy them. Yeah.
Yes. And it's because you get points for every mission that you play, depending on how you play the mission. You also can find card packs in the mission. Sometimes enemies will drop them, but they'll also be hidden in certain rooms. You can go in certain rooms and pick them up, but you have to stop on the card pack. You can't just run over it.
Yeah. Again, things like that. Just why?
And then there's Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear 2, 3, and then Metal Gear Chronicles, which is Police Knots, Snatcher, Metal Gear 1, 2, Ghost Babel, cards from all those games.
Yeah. And like the art is like, if it's from an 8-bit game, the art is 8-bit and all that. And I love whenever you use certain cards, it plays a little cutscene and it's actual like footage from the game it's referencing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like one card I had in my deck that was the girl that you fight in the tutorial of Metal Gear Solid 2 on the tanker.
Olga?
Oh,
Yeah,
fortune.
where you shoot out the lights while you're fighting her, or you turn them
no,
on and
Olga.
blind her.
Olga, yeah.
Olga. Yeah, I had Olga in my deck, and so I kept using her, and it would pop up her thing every time I used it.
I must have turned it off by accident because I never saw this.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. I saw in the Let's Play is really cool because when you do like the Police Knots ones, it plays like scenes from Police Knots and stuff.
Cool. I think I must have turned it off when I was messing with the menus. I
know one of the cards was that Zone of the Enders Gundam, and it plays like the scene of it like booting up and taking off or whatever.
Oh, I didn't get those cards, unfortunately. I got some of the. There's also rare cards like that are gold that do different things. One that I saw in the card shop, because after the booster packs, you also have a card shop where you can spend like way more points than it would cost to be a card pack, but you can buy your own card.
Specific ones, yeah.
Yeah, and I saw the Metal Gear from Ghost Babel, which God, I forget how cool that Metal Gear is. And I saw a Solid Snake card that was gold, but I didn't have the points or care enough.
Yeah, I know that in the Let's Play I was watching, that Zone of the Enders one was a gold card.
You can get them throughout the game. I mean, I know certain enemies, like there were times when I get alert mode and there's certain levels where new enemies would come and I'd kill them and they'd drop a card pack. But then I die anyway, so it didn't matter. But sometimes there's a particular level they get.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of cards for getting a good score because I ended most missions with like a C or a D. Same. Because I would end up just brute forcing my way through the missions.
You can, especially.
Oh yeah, you totally can especially if you stack your deck with offensive cards. You can all just kind of
My deck was all guns later on. Like there was no talking, there was no sneaking. It was we're gonna sneak next to you, shoot you, and then Snake's gonna sneak next to you and shoot you too, and then we're gonna shoot you again. And when your buddies come, we're gonna shoot them too. That was how I played.
Yeah, I had the electric katana. And man, that was like my favorite card. Just walk right up to somebody, instant kill basically any guard. So
not near the end of the game, by the way.
Well, no, I know, yeah. And then there's the android from the Android Ninja. That's Gray Fox.
Gray Fox.
Yep.
Yeah, Gray Fox.
That's a good card. That's how I beat the game. That card is the reason I beat the game and didn't uninstall it, which I was about to.
Because it's like it basically is similar to the electric katana, but it's at range.
It can hit anywhere on the screen, but it only does 50 damage.
Yeah, but still, that's a lot of. I mean, that's a lot for not having. You don't even have to have line of sight, do you?
No, you just have to. It just has to be. Well, enemies can use it too against you, which sucks. But
yeah, I got it used against me a lot, actually.
Same.
Say it, Kerry.
Yeah.
That's a lot of damage.
I don't get it.
What is it? The flex tape. Flex tape. That's a lot of damage, and he slaps it with the tape.
Oh yeah. I didn't get it. Sorry.
I don't get it still, but okay.
God damn it.
It's an infomercial.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because in the final fight, I only beat it because I just had that card in my hand. He had 50 HP left. I'm like, fuck it. And that's how I won. Otherwise, I might have not beat the game, but I don't want to talk about that yet. I mean, the game just like the biggest issue for me and kind of what I think for you too, Kerry, is that there's no checkpoints. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's fine for some missions because some missions are very brief. But like, there are about 3 or 4 missions in this game, including the final one, that take over an hour to do. And if you fuck up, it's over. Like, you just lost hour worth of gameplay, and you got to start over. And this game is not fast.
Yeah, that
sucks.
Checkpoints would make a big difference, I think, because there were several missions where I just died and had to start over. And then, of course, I had that thing.
I mean, there's a couple really bad ones. There's one that you didn't get to with a power plant. You would have loved this one. Where you go through the power plant, which is, I mean, it's a long-ass level, but I did it because it was near the end of the game, so I was powerful enough. And then you have to go through the power plant again, but in the dark, where you literally can't see the enemies in front of you. And I had multiple times in this game where the enemy would be there, but for some reason they didn't load and I couldn't see them, but they could shoot me just fine.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did that happen to you, Joseph?
Yeah, and I didn't have the night vision goggles, so I was so screwed.
Okay, so that wasn't a glitch?
That wasn't a glitch.
Oh,
Yeah, I was watching kind of some people like talk about it, and so I watched a couple things, and I saw a thing too where some guy was talking about he kept getting soft locked because if you don't have night vision goggles, you can't see the enemies. I don't even think you can shoot them either, right?
You can, as long as you're close enough. But there were a couple turns where they would shoot me, and I could not see them, even though I'm right next to them, and I'd have to run away and come back, and then they would be available to kill. It made no sense.
Yeah,
I thought it was a glitch, and I didn't have the thermal goggles, so. And I was just very, very upset.
Yeah, that seems very frustrating.
It was just too long. It's one of those missions where if you would have had checkpoints, it wouldn't have been such a big deal. But not having it, and then if you fuck up, it's like, it just sucks. I mean, there's one thing nice, because most of this game you do have 2 characters, and if one character dies, the other one, you don't lose the game, except for a certain mission, and the other character will get back up after so many turns.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Yeah.
can be stupid and soft lock yourself in a stage, which I did once. There's one level you have to go get the PSG one. That sounds familiar. And you have to go to this warehouse, and you need a level 2 card key, and that was on Talika. Well, she went through the door, walked to the gun camera. The gun camera killed her. She would revive. It would shoot her, and the process would just continue, and Snake couldn't enter the room because he didn't have the key card. And she was too far away from the door to unlock the door, so I couldn't get him in there to shoot the camera, so I just had to restart the level.
That's crazy.
I was not happy. And guess what? I didn't go in that room the second time because you could get 2 ammo for it, or 2 cards for it, so 1 gun, 1 ammo, but you want to get all 4 so you have more cards to draw, and I'm like, I ain't going in that room again. I'm like, I don't have save states. I can't just save it and then go in the room, and then if I fuck up, just reload. I mean, I probably could have got save states. I played this on a Steam Deck, but I can't figure out how to get save states to work on PS2 and PSP, so I just play legit. I'm like, well, I should play legit.
Yeah, I really probably should have just used save states, come to think of it, because with the Vita, it does have save states available for PS1 and PSP games.
Okay.
That's cool.
It happens. I mean, sometimes it's like, I feel proud of myself. I mean, I don't try to like play a game without save states with me. I just didn't know. I knew I could have made it work if I would have went in a menu and played with a menu and set up hotkeys, and then I could just customize the keys, or just literally just hook up a USB-C keyboard to it, and I would have the save states, which I should buy, by the way. But,
So with the Steam Deck, are you using like EMU Deck or like RetroArch or what?
EMU Deck. I can't get RetroArch to ever work. I never had any luck with that emulator. So I have Emulation Deck.
Yeah, I've never messed with a Steam Deck, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it.
I mean, I have save states for everything else. Every cartridge base, PS1, it's just for some reason PS2 and that era I have you have to do it differently, and I just never really got
Well, yeah, save states I know of PS1 and PS2 and GameCube. So maybe it's just with disc-based games in general. Save states will often corrupt your save and stuff too when you're emulating things.
Not normally.
Yeah, but well, it just depends. Like I know, like with RetroArch, like I was doing a randomizer run of Symphony of the Night the other day, and I used a save state once, and it corrupted my save to where I couldn't save the game anymore. So
I haven't
I've
never had that happen to me, actually, and I'm a guy who plays emulation more than anything else. So
yeah,
that's never happened to me.
Oh, okay.
Like what I do, like I was playing Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories on PS2, and I couldn't get it, and I got to a point where I needed save states. I just put it on my PC and did save states that way. So, I mean, I had a solution to my problem where I'm like, well, if I can't get to work here, I can just copy the memory card to the computer and play it with a controller and do it then. I just didn't. Part of me is like, you came this far, Mike, finish the fucking game. So there was that too. I mean, like,
So
one
what
thing
what was your completion time on it?
I don't know because I didn't see it.
Mine was about 20 hours.
God damn.
I think mine was too, because I know it was 21 or 22 before I beat the game, and then add a few hours to that final fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to get there yet, but we will get there. I mean, there were things that were fun. It's just, I mean, once I understood like that I could just murder people so easily in this game, like I literally would just get to, because whenever you get alert mode, it doesn't normally go instantly. The guard has to run away and then use the radio to call. So if you can get to them and then kill them before that's up, you can be okay and stop alert mode from happening as long as you stack your deck with pharmacists. I mean, and also as the game progresses, you get more HP and you also get more cards. You get up to 40 cards you can hold. You have to hold 30, but you can hold up to 40 in your deck, which is not a good thing. I did it, but it's not. There's a point in this game where I had to switch to a 30 card deck because 40 card deck was not a good idea.
Because you're just drawing trash. Yeah, that's when you play like Magic or Pokemon and stuff. There's a temptation to build like 100 card deck so you can have all the stuff. It's like, nope, keep it to 60.
Yeah, you can. There's more to it with the final fight to why I had to change it. We'll get there when I talk all about Metal Gear. So, and when I wanted to break my game, that wasn't even physical.
So should we say the story to this game? I could give my rendition of what I think the story was.
Sure,
if you want. Joe can or.
I saw what the story was. I can kind of give like a half-assed description of it because I watched like 4 different videos about it.
Yeah.
One thing I will give this game, though, this game is very much very Japanese, even so more Japanese than the regular Metal Gear games. Just because like, I really love the art style, and it really reminds me a lot of like the like the visual novel games that I used to play and still do play. And I can't put my finger on it. I want to say maybe it's like 999, but it reminds me very much of that art style. All I can say is that the character arc for Snake is just so goddamn handsome.
I do like the character art. I like the comic panels for when they talk and the way that the hand drawn or they look like the hand drawn cutscenes are, where it's like a comic and then there's text. I do like stuff like that in the background, like the whole idea. I did enjoy that.
The main story is basically just, there's a plane that gets hijacked and by dolls who fart noxious gas out and decide that they're going to take over. And they decide that in order to get rid of the terrorist on the plane, because God forbid that's the thing that happens in like anything after 2001, they decide to recruit Solid Snake. But we're also forgetting the one part that actually genuinely freaked me out. But I'll always give like the Metal Gear series great situations like that where the game opens up with what is her name? I can't remember how to pronounce it.
Teleco?
We'll go Teleco. Teleco, the game showing what Teleco's doing and her like just shooting people and throwing grenades, and I'm like, oh, the game's playing itself. Oh no, but it's a really cool way to show you how to play the game as well.
Sort of shows you.
Mm-hmm. Kind of shows you.
But so the dolls want something called Pythagoras, which is developed by the U.S. government, but is being held at a lab in a fictional South African country that refuses to turn it over.
Yes.
And so a team, HRT, hostage rescue team is sent to the laboratory, but they're all killed, we think. Teleco's one of them?
Yes.
Yeah,
and she in the opening cutscene, you see her walk into an ambush and a big giant guy with one arm and a sniper rifle confront her, and then you think she's dead.
Right.
That is such also a cool bad guy design.
Yeah, Leon is cool.
Leon, yeah. And then also throughout the game, the haunted clown baby dolls are murdering people on the plane one at a time and carving numbers in their chest, which spell out the name Snake eventually. And also there's a senator and he's got an aide on board who, what was her name?
Lena.
And then also there's a little girl named like Minette.
Who's red hair and is also on the plane, but you find out later on that she can move when the other people are gassed out. But Lena and Minette can move for some reason. You find out later.
Exactly. And Minette looks a lot like Realm from Final Fantasy VI, the art.
Yeah.
The Yoshitaka Amano art. But
and on your team, you have Roger, who's talking to you like he's essentially your Colonel Campbell. He mentions Colonel Campbell.
He's friends of Colonel Campbell.
And then you also have a psychic who's holding a doll.
And her name's Alice.
Alice,
yeah.
Yeah, she's holding a doll.
And she's psychic, and she keeps telling you where to go and where not to go. Keeps telling you, don't go here because I have a bad feeling about it. I have a sense of dread about it.
It's a weird group to have on your team.
It's par for the course.
Yeah.
There's also there's some other people that join your team off and on. There's Charles Schmeiser.
Who's like
right? Which
CIA
I can't remember.
I don't.
Yeah, he's CIA, like he's CIA. And then, but of course, he's got a secret identity because everybody's got a secret identity.
Oh, you're waiting.
Everyone we've said has a secret identity, including you. Right. And then who else was it that
Gary.
Gary, that's right. Gary.
Yeah, the guy that you rescue at one point, you think he's a hostage.
Yeah, you think he's gonna be like your Otakon at first, and then no.
Yeah, and turns out he's the guy you're looking for the whole time.
But then so are you. You're the guy you're looking for the whole time. Or are you?
I mean, throughout the game, you have these little weird moments where, like, people are calling you Hans David instead of Snake, and that you supposedly work because you at one point you go through you have to get through a door and it recognizes your ID card as Hans David. You're like, what the fuck? And they're like, oh, I guess it recognized you as this guy who works here. Okay, good enough. Let's go through the door.
What a weird glitch. Let's keep going.
They're like, no, you're Hans David. You worked at this lab and you help orchestrate these kids being tortured and murdered. And you're like, what?
Honestly, they should have just kept that twist at the end of the day because I feel like that would have been a much better
Yes.
Yeah. Instead of
they wanted to and somebody said no.
It is a PSP era, so there's things where like if you want to do something, you can't do it. But it also helps because this is a spin-off because that way you could have been like, oh yeah, that's why all the other Metal Gear games are canon because you're not actually Snake, you're just some random asshole.
Yeah.
I was thinking you actually were going to turn out to be Hans David, that you were going to turn out to be this guy who after he retired from the military, became a psychopath.
Yeah,
Well,
but then also at one point it says that actually you're actually Snake and you became Hans Davis because like you had to retire and now you decided I want to pass on my legacy by working at this weapons lab and developing like a new super soldier in my image or something. So Snake became Hans, who then became Snake because he lost his memories or something. But that's not true, or is it?
It's not.
It's just.
But you don't know that a good chunk of the game you're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And then the Gary guy that you rescue, you find out is Dr. Fleming, the guy that you were hunting. And he's also telling you at the same time that you are this guy that you're not.
Right. And then my favorite part there is when he calls you, he's kind of convinced you that you're Hans, and your name in the conversation changes to Hans.
Yeah.
And Snake goes, "No, don't change my name on the screen."
I do like when Metal Gear does stuff like that.
I love it when they do that fourth wall break stuff. It's the best.
It's just, I was like so fucking confused. I'm like, what is going on in this game? I like the story. I was on board with this game.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Joseph, what did you think when you played this back in 2005 with this weird ass story?
Yeah, it was definitely something different. I admit I didn't get too far, so I didn't get into all the plot stuff. But they did talk about, like, we haven't touched on it, like the kids and how one of them became like a super soldier named Number 16 and all that. And that was just very, very weird at the time back then.
Still very weird, but yes.
So that's the part that kind of confuses me. We'll get that to a little bit later. So you end up finding out that the big twist is that Alice isn't actually psychic and that she just remembers the facility really well. Is that what ends up being one of the twists?
No, she's
Because
still psychic.
Oh, she's psychic.
But she's
she
number
still psychic?
6. She's number 16, right?
Yeah.
She's number 16, and also she's both Lena and Minette.
She's
Lena
not
and
Minette.
I thought Lena and Minette.
She's Minette.
I thought Lena and Minette were her like two sides of her psyche.
No, it's what you find out is she is in the body of Number 16, but she thinks her mind is another patient called 104, which we'll touch on that at the end as well.
Oh, right.
It's very clear. And she is psychic, but she also uses a special kind of gas to kind of hypnotize people.
Well, and if I'm sorry, I just want to point out Le Clown. When they describe her, they say she's an expert. They say she is a world-class assassin and expert hypnotist. That's how I'm like, okay.
It's a strange fucking game.
Yeah.
I love it. I
And
love
throughout
it.
the story, when Toliko joins you, at one point Toliko betrays you, runs across a bridge and pulls it up, and you're like, "What the hell?" And it turns out Toliko is not Toliko; she's actually the clown, and betrays you. And then you run in, and then a couple missions you have with just Snake, and then you run into Toliko, who thinks you're the clown. You think she's the clown. You have to do a boss fight with her, where you shoot fucking stingers at her, Nikitas at her, and then she joins you.
While in a giant board game.
It's literally a board game where you step on different squares and you either get like one square
Plus
will reset
defense,
your
plus
hand,
attack. Yeah.
raise your attack, raise your defense. Like, it is the fucking weirdest shit. Oh, and I played this game for a good chunk of time. Like I would play a strategy term, like a tactics game, and I kept forgetting. No, you don't need to stand right next to the guy. You can shoot him. It took a bit before that finally clicked. By the way, but I kept getting right in their face and shooting them and going, "Oh yeah, I shouldn't do that." Because I'm so used to Final Fantasy Tactics and games like that where you need to be close. I'm not used to a gun-based tactics game like this. So it took a little bit to really get used to that fact. Like, no, you don't need to be that close. Like, you can shoot them from afar. So
Good. Well, the other thing that, because they bring up a lot of stuff too that doesn't go anywhere even too. Because I remember whenever because the bad guys always go on a big spiel. They mentioned something about like cream being put on people's bodies, and that's why people are being able to hypnotize or something.
there's some kind of
Aqua.
weapon I think they were working on, or drug or something that
Aqua.
Yeah.
Aqua, yeah.
ACUA.
There's just so much weird shit in this game. The story is bonkers.
They're going to spread Aqua to the public through a dietary supplement.
Yeah.
And Snake was given Aqua through his sneaking suit.
What? Is that how they explain that?
Yeah.
Snake was given Aqua as part of medicine cocktail within his sneaking suit's chain system, but only in doses considered sufficient to convince him that he was, in fact, amnesiac Hans Davis.
There's a little bit of a story too that I actually thought was really interesting because it's always Metal Gear, and besides Snake having weird story stuff that goes within the characters in the codex always have calls, and there's this whole thing where Roger talks about it's supposed to be something between about a clown, I guess, where if you convince people there's a spy, the easiest thing to do is just to say someone's a spy and kill him and get done at the end of the day. It ends up revealing towards the end of his like boss fight that it's Leon.
But yeah, Leon.
Yeah, Leon was the guy that Roger told everyone that he was a spy, and that's why he's missing an arm, because they like whooped his ass.
Yeah, and it turned out he wasn't the spy.
Mm-hmm. And there probably wasn't a spy.
And to go back to the Minette thing, like to get even weirder, like so Minette's on the plane. At the end of the game, you find out that Alice is evil, and she set this whole thing up for you to kill Hans David. I don't know who the hell. I never figured out who the hell Hans David actually even was. To be honest with you,
he's Charles.
He's Charles, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. And the game kind of does a few Metal Gear Solid 1 things where at one point Roger gets knocked out because Alice tries to shoot him, and then eventually Charles, the CIA guy who also turns out to be one of the villains, stops them. It's a bunch of like weird, stupid shit that goes on that makes no sense. But so is Minette the actual number 16?
No, Minette is the body inhabited by the spirit of number 104 who was murdered by number 16, I think.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And you find it out in the very last cutscene because Alice runs away. They find Alice, I think, and then Minette is on the plane, and you see her standing over Lena's body after you see Lena kill
holding a
somebody.
bloody knife.
Yeah, it's just fucking
carves the number 104 into the woman's bones.
Yeah.
It's a dark fucking game, too. It's so fucking strange.
To be fair, the strangeness goes up even more because I think whenever like you're about to fight the Metal Gear, and whenever it like built itself up, like Snake falls off like the top of it, and they're like, "Oh, Snake, you're like knocked to the noggin, undid all that brainwashing you've been going through."
I mean, he should be dead when he falls off the Metal Gear, but hey, I'll take it. That's there.
Isn't there like in the post credits? Doesn't it turn out that he? I don't remember. We can talk about that later. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we'll get there soon, but not yet. I do want to talk about the other boss fights. You have 2 with Leon, which is it feels like Vulcan Raven type fights where you're in a warehouse with a bunch of containers piled high. You have to move around, and you pretty much have to distract him where he goes after one character and the other character shoots him in the back, because if you shoot him from the front, he'll deflect your shots.
Yeah. Right. It's very Vulcan Raven. I feel like there was a fight in Metal Gear Solid 2 or 3 similar to that also, but I can't remember which one. Okay, yeah.
Which you have his card in this game, and you can light people on fire, and it's great.
Yeah.
He literally Snake pulls out a flamethrower and lights up like 6 squares in front of him. It takes forever. You gotta sit here and watch him burn each square. But God, is it awesome when you get it off. I did it a couple times. I'm like, this feels good, except if you burn somebody and they touch you, you also go on fire, by the way.
And burn does a lot of damage.
Burn will kill you in 3 turns if you don't heal.
Yep, found that out the hard way. Like 45 minutes into a mission.
Yeah, there are issues with this game.
What is that team, that enemy team name in Metal Gear Solid 3?
The Cobras.
Is it the Cobras? No one will ever allow to convince me that the Cobras aren't the coolest like Metal Gear antagonist team in the entire series.
Oh yeah.
I'm a sucker for the Beast one, the Beauty and the Beast 4 now. That fits into things that
yeah. That's a close second, because we talked about when we did. Foxhound's okay. We talked about it in the episode, but nothing beats that E3 trailer when they reveal the Beauty Beast thing, and like they show off all those people dying in that for like E3, and it was like the coolest thing ever.
I love Foxhound the most. Dead Cell is the worst.
Dead Cell is the worst. I'll give you that.
Which one is Dead Cell?
2.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, agreed. What, you don't like the roller skating guy? The
Fat Man on roller skates? No, I don't.
Yeah. Fat Man on roller skates with the bombs.
Fat Man sucks. Fortune doesn't even have powers. And Vamp you can't even count Vamp because he's in the sequel, so you don't really even like he's better as a Beauty and Beast squad than he is in the fucking in 2.
He's still Dead Cell, but no, he's just, I don't like him. Yeah. I don't like, and Metal Gear Solid 2, I love the game, but I have issues with it. Like, I hate Dead Cell.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but it's my least favorite of the ones I've played.
Am I forgetting anyone from Dead Cell? Like, that's pretty much all 4 of them.
Well, just
There's not many of them.
Solidus, I guess.
Oh yeah, I don't like him either.
Oh well, I mean, you fight the president with a katana on top of the White House. I mean, nothing.
Yeah,
like
that's pretty epic. Actually, that's pretty anime right there.
But it's missing a whole scene that we didn't get because of the year it came out. Came out in 2001. There's supposed to be a whole scene of that ship crashing into New York City, but that went away for 2002. But yeah, there's a whole like. I always wondered as a kid because like it just happened. All of a sudden you're just in New York, and they were like, "Yeah, there was a whole cutscene we did," but then 9/11 happened, so everything got cut.
Yeah.
So it just ends up there. You don't need to know why. So
It's fucking hilarious.
yeah, that's 9/11 for you.
But yeah, Leon's pretty cool.
He was a fun fight.
I like his art design.
I do too. I like it that he joins you too at one point in the game. I mean, he doesn't actually like work with you, but he's like on your team story wise.
Yeah, it tells you what to do.
It's fine. It was still kind of cool. And then he ends up getting brainwashed, and then he's like, this had to be an FF7 reference. When you first fight him the second time in the warehouse, but now he has goons with him, he's like, "You stepped on my flowers!" And all I could think of was Reno. "Oh yeah, guys, don't step on the flowers!" As he walked over the flowers. Nobody?
Yeah, no.
Nice.
That's what came to my brain.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really referencing that, but it's... Yeah.
It might not be. My brain's a special place sometimes. So that's all I got. And then the second clown fight is where she looks like Taliko, but you have Taliko with you, and she ends up like throwing a flashbang, and then she'll move around the level, then she'll make copies of herself, and it wasn't too bad though. It wasn't a terrible fight.
No, that's the fight coming up after that one that's terrible.
So the Metal Gear fight, I had to redo this 3 times and had to adjust my deck because I couldn't do it.
Same.
So the fight starts off, you finally get to Metal Gear, but because of Taliko listening to your conversations and Taliko being tricked by Alice that you are Hans David, that she can't trust you, you try to get in Metal Gear, she pulls a gun on you, won't let you get in Metal Gear, so then you fall off, and then she goes in Metal Gear, so now you're playing you're playing both of them in different areas where she's inside Metal Gear and she has to destroy computers, but there's a never-ending turret that keeps spawning in her room.
Yeah,
in her room.
It's one of the little it's one of the little like robo dog turret things, right?
Yes, that doesn't go away. Everyone you kill, a new one spawns. The only way to stop it is to throw chaff grenades because you have to wait forever while you're doing Snake's part.
Which is to basically stand under the Metal Gear shooting stinger missiles at the over and over again.
There's 2 parts to it.
Avoiding fire. Yeah.
Oh, it gets worse. The first part, you have to break a computer with her and keep her alive, and then Snake has to just shoot these 2 big arm things off, and whenever they're about to launch missiles, but it's easy to avoid the missiles. You can stand in certain spots. Use a laser cannon he doesn't use often. You can also use a sniper rifle too, but you have to have the right angle or you won't hit it. So I had sniper rifle cards and stinger cards. But once you knock off both arms and then switch to laser cannon mode, and the laser cannon, I have to state this, you have 500 HP for Snake when he's at max HP. This attack, which is almost unavoidable, and I mean almost, I'm talking about like a less than 5% chance you're going to avoid this attack. It does 300 hits in one hit. It does 300 HP of damage in one hit. Yep. If you don't have rations, if you don't have healing items, you are fucked.
And if you die in that part, then it's back to phase 1.
If either person dies, it's game over.
Right.
If Taliko dies, it's game over. Because it happens.
And by back to phase 1, I mean it's back to the cutscene at the beginning of the mission.
Yes, you can skip one of them, but you can't skip the second one. Oh, I must have put 2 hours into that boss fight before I got it because I only had so many stinger cards. Because throughout the game, there are levels where you'll see stingers like floating on a space. You can step on them and pick them up. You can also get stingers in card packs. And there's a Metal Gear Solid 1 stinger and a Metal Gear Solid 2 stinger. So in theory, you could have 8 stingers in your deck of 30 cards. It gives you a very good chance you're going to pull stingers. I did not have 8 stingers. I had 3.
Yeah,
3 to 30.
I had 2 by the time I got there.
It's not fun.
Yeah, no,
it was. I couldn't, and I couldn't hit him with a sniper rifle because I had the Mosin Nagant or whatever the hell it's called, the one from Metal Gear Solid 3, which does a lot of damage, does 250 points damage, but it has a 60% hit rate. I missed that fucker 4 times in a row. Tell me how that's 60%. Tell me. And I didn't have save states, so I couldn't be like, oh, well, I'll just keep trying until it works. I was like, how do you miss 4 times in a row when it's a 60% chance? How?
I use the PPSPP. So Maybe you should probably switch. Because I
mean,
use my
it's
laptop
on there.
too.
I just have to set the hotkey up, and I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. At that point, like I didn't want to cheat. I was proud of myself for what I was doing. That I just wanted to finish it legit, and I didn't want to go through the trouble of setting up the hotkey. Let's not kid ourselves. Oh man, when I beat the game, I was about to die, and I would have died in one hit. But I happened to have the ninja card in my hand, so I was able to win. It was terrible. It was fucking terrible. And I was. Oh.
I was gonna say, I ended up having to go back and replay a bunch of missions just to keep getting credits. So I keep buying the packs till I eventually got the stinger cards.
Well, you need them. I should have did that, but I was on a really bad time crunch because I scheduled badly. Yeah. So I was not happy.
Mike played 2 card games this week.
Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories and this.
Oh God, I'm sorry you had to do that back to back.
Me too. Me too.
Oh, is that a card one also?
Yes.
A much funner card one though, so it's okay.
It's action-based cards. I rather have turn-based cards.
Is it the Game Boy one or the PlayStation 2 one?
The PS2 one.
The one.
Which is harder than the Game Boy Advance one by a lot. Mm-hmm. Which I did not know that, but I found out. Oh, I found out. Episode not out yet. You will hear it eventually. But like, I should have did what you did and went and got more stingers, but I just didn't want to. I was like, I can do this because I thought the sniper rifles would work because they would target it and they would do 250 points of damage. If he has 1,000 health and the stinger only does 150, I'm like, for a sniper, get him off with hit enough sniper shots, he's gone. But sniper shots were useless because they wouldn't hit him. They're supposed to, but they just kept missing. It was miserable. I got lucky enough that I had enough health items on both my characters that I was able to stay alive. It was so painful, and I was multiple times I'd almost be dead. But I had to completely change my deck. I had to switch to 30 cards and get rid of the 40 so I would have a better chance of drawing stingers so I could hit this fucker. Because nothing else hurts him but stingers and a sniper rifle. And a sniper rifle only if you're in the right angle. Oh, and the way the laser works is everything in front of him is hit by the laser. And even if you're way off to the side, you're still hit by the laser. You have to get behind him, which you can't get to fast enough because Snake's ass can't move that fast. It's miserable. And the Metal Gear will walk away from you before he lowers his head to shoot the laser, which you have to then spend a turn to even get close to him. It was ridiculous to do. And it was a bad boss fight. And the fact that there was no checkpoint between section 1 and 2, which there would have been had this game came out at any point later than 2004, 2005, really hurt the game.
I wonder if the sequel has quality of life features and stuff like that.
It absolutely does.
Good.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It comes out a year later though, which I didn't realize Acid 2 was that close.
I've heard Acid 2 is a lot better. It's more highly regarded.
And it's also probably it's the same engine and everything too, and they probably just changed the card art and stuff.
It's also way more colorful.
I heard that too. That's why I thought that's what this one was, but I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, no, I want to play Acid 2. It's definitely going to happen. Not going to happen this year because I already have the schedule written, but it's on my list of games I really want to play now. Because, yeah, I mean, when I beat a mission, the good that I felt was like beating a Dark Souls boss. Like, that's how good I felt.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
When I beat this game, I was like, fuck yes, to nobody in the basement. And then I immediately put the game down. So, I mean, and that was a nice feeling. It was probably as good as when I first beat the Gaping Dragon in Dark Souls 1 after it made me quit the game and I took 2 years off before I went back and beat it and started over. It was the same type of feeling. That's how good I felt. I mean, there are cool parts of this game. They try some interesting gimmicks. Like at one point, you have to wear uniforms, so you look like the guards. So they don't shoot you, but you really don't need a uniform. You just shoot the guards in the face, and it will solve your same problem. But hey, whatever. Or you put the uniform on, then shoot them in the face. That works too. I did that. I shot a lot of people in the face.
So you did that in Metal Gear Solid 3 as well.
I do it in all the Metal Gears. They're not stealth games to me.
Well, I mean, you put on you change uniforms to get through the face at one point.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot. I forgot what you're talking about. Yep, I remember. Yeah. I do want to replay Metal Gear Solid 3 again for this show, but
we should do Delta for the show when it comes out.
I might. I don't know if I'm going to buy that right away, but I might buy it sooner than later.
Is there a release date for that too, by the way?
Just this year.
I think it's in August. I think.
Oh shit! Don't tell me that because then I really am looking forward to it.
It won't be this year that I get to it, but at some point, yeah. I'm definitely curious.
Yeah, but you know me, I'm really excited to play it.
Yeah, I can't buy games right away because I just feel so. I don't play them. I mean, if I do get them, I feel like I have to play them. I mean, before the podcast, I'm like, I just wait.
I'm wrong. It's just right now. It's just 2024.
Okay.
You can already pre-order the giant collector set for it.
On GameStop, and you might get your game, or they might go out of business. But hey, they got your money. Does that matter? I can't believe that company's still around.
I can't either.
And you work there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say update. Metal Gear Solid 3 came out November 17th, 2004, which would be so November 17th would be the 20th anniversary. So that's when people would surmise it most likely is coming out.
That would be hell of that would be cool.
That's September?
November
17th.
Okay.
That's that's just a guess, but it would be the 20th anniversary. So
I can't see Konami being that smart though.
I don't know. They're pretty smart because one thing that they were, whenever they teased the game originally, they asked David Hayter, like, hey, were you going to voice Snake? And he was like, I have nothing to do with the project. And then the day that they had like the big trailer and everything, he's like doing an interview where he's like, hey, this is David Hayter, voice of Solid Snake in the new Metal Gear Solid Delta. And I'm like, you motherfucker, you're on NDA. That's why you couldn't say anything.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Hey, they didn't want to get Kiefer Sutherland back, huh?
So I actually found that out recently that David Hayter actually absolutely fucking hates Hideo Kojima.
Oh, yeah.
Because he didn't get him?
No. Apparently Hideo, which it's proven, Hideo Kojima has a huge hard-on for like celebrities.
Oh,
and and they hired David Hayter for Snake, and they like ever since, I don't know when would David Hayter's first Snake role be, like Twin Snakes?
Solid one.
Oh, I saw one, yeah, first one.
Yeah.
The first one for PS1? They do voice that, yeah, and apparently like they always butted heads, and like apparently David Hayter was like, yeah, he always tried getting me like taken off, and they would always call me last minute to voice Snake because I guess Hideo Kojima was trying to get actual celebrities to voice Snake, and no one wanted to do it because video games weren't that recognized back then. So Kojima was just like, I guess we'll get David Hayter. That's why 5 doesn't have him, because he wanted a celebrity to do it, and they got Kiefer Sutherland.
But at least Kiefer Sutherland didn't have a tick when he talked. Or didn't go, well, I just didn't know what to do. Like that for a certain movie.
What movie are you talking about?
Dark City.
Oh.
Good movie. But it's a choice. Someone got that joke out there. But yeah, that final fight was just atrocious. I mean, the game is fun. It's just, it needs checkpoints. And it would be so much more fun. And if you do levels without getting alert, if you do levels fast enough, and no killing, you do get special cards you'll get for winning. I never saw the no killing cards, by the way. Never got that bonus. Everybody got murdered. I mean, it was just fun to me. I'm like, oh, look, a guard. Let's kill him. It was just fun.
Yeah.
I had one card that could drop alert mode, so sometimes I would be able to use that. But I also could never figure out how to set off C4 besides shooting it.
There's a detonator card.
Yeah, there's a detonator card.
Okay, you need an actual card.
Well, it gives it to you.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Oh.
I had it.
Okay. I only used C4 when the game made me, but then I just shot the C4. So it wasn't very often.
I only shot the C4 also because I never had the detonator card at the same time that I had the C4 in my hand. Because that's the other thing. You have these key items, but if you don't have it in your hand, you just got to sit there and cycle through cards till it comes up.
Which, I like it sometimes, but there was nothing more painful than getting shot by a bunch of people and be like, well, that Famas card is somewhere in this deck.
Yeah, and that's how deck games go, so that's fine. But I would turn key items into non-cards. I would have key items and movement not be tied to cards.
I can't tell you how many times I forgot that I could punch too.
Yeah.
I'd stand next to a guy, I'm like, oh yeah, I could have punched him. Fuck. I forgot a lot.
Yeah, and another thing I would change is I would create like kind of like in current D&D, you've got bonus actions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I would have like every turn I would have like a bonus action that could be, in fact, I would just kind of copy D&D 5th edition in terms of the action economy, because you have standard action, movement, and then a bonus action. And so I think that's what I would do is you have like a standard action, which is using a card, and maybe you can get extra actions in certain ways. And then a movement action that doesn't require a card. Yeah. And then I would allow you to use a card to get bonus movement, which is, again, do you think kind of extrapolating to D&D, you can forego your standard action and use it for extra movement. And then I would have bonus actions like punch, flatten, up against a wall, knock, and then, go prone, stand up, things like that, without having to like burn a card to do any of those things.
Yeah.
I think that would help a lot. I think
that'd make the game a lot better and a lot just more playable. Because it did suck, like when you had to change positions so you could shoot a guy. Oh, I better go use a card. Like that did suck.
Yeah, the guy, the guard ran to my side. Can't shoot him. Got to burn a card to turn 90 degrees so I can shoot him. That's
And a turn.
just stupid. And lose a turn.
I couldn't figure out how to get knocked into work either. I did the thing in the beginning where like I knocked up against the wall and I ran away, and I guess that didn't count. So no.
Oh, I got people to run after me when I knocked, and unfortunately, I was still there when they came. So
Yeah, I mean, you can flatten up against the wall and you can knock, and then they'll come to you. So the only way I could see that being useful was if you were trying to get them to leave their post so you could sneak by them by going around something, or if you only had like a melee ability in your hand.
yeah, I mean, I didn't like it.
Because otherwise, if they're close enough to hear the knock, they're close enough to shoot. So
I mean, near the late game, I did get a knife from the Metal Gear Solid 3 packs, and that was fucking nice too. It wasn't as powerful as a sword, but it took people out fast,
that's
and
good.
it felt good. It feels really good to just kill people in this game. Oh, so I have a question for Joseph, because you might know this. In the final fight with Metal Gear, when you're in the second form, what does shooting those pillars do?
I don't know, but I did not do that. I just kept,
Same.
Probably
Like, I would
should've-
shoot 2 or 3 of them, and then they would just shoot the laser anyway. And I'm like, I don't understand what is supposed to happen. Like, you can't shoot all 4 because there's not enough time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I don't understand what you want me to do, game. Like, I was like, okay, if I shoot the pillars, maybe the laser will stop, but the laser didn't stop.
That final fight definitely feels like luck at the end of it than everything else.
I just had to get up and remove a cat that was trying to kill the Hollow Knight on my further beat on the wall. So
Uh-oh.
yeah, she figured out a few days ago that if she takes your paw, she can grab it and pull it off the wall. And I'm worried that one day it's going to come to pieces, and I don't want that to happen. You damn little bastard cat. It's how she tells me I want treats, and I want treats now. She's like, I'll just knock over your Funko Pops, I'll take off your Hollow Knight, I'll make you get me treats. By the way, it worked. Mm-hmm. So the ending of this game, Minette gets away, correct? I think so. Like, she didn't get captured.
Yes.
Alice?
Well, Alice got captured, right? Or did Alice get away?
She dies.
Alice dies, yeah.
Okay.
From Fox Die, maybe.
Oh,
It's technically supposed to be Fox Die, yeah.
I was like, that seems a little too convenient. I'm like, this sounds familiar. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, Minette gets away, and then technically, what's his name? Hans Gruber?
Hans David.
Hans David, same fucking thing. I just watched that. Hans
Davis, actually, I think.
Yeah, Hans Davis also gets away, which is kind of the plot for the second one, which is also really cool too. That I learned that both the games are connected still, because sometimes you have games that are sequels, and it's like, oh, they had nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, the second one is kind of its own thing, really.
I don't know if it's a twist, and I don't want to say what it is, but I kind of know what some of the plot is for the second game, and so it's like, oh, the ending of this makes a lot of fucking sense then.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got really confused too, like Mike was saying earlier. I didn't really quite get but thankfully y'all explained it to me where it's like, oh yeah, no, there's whatever Minette is, and then all this other goofy stuff. So
It's a very goofy game.
And so at the do we want to talk about the ending?
Yes.
Yeah. So Snake and Toliko decide to go to Alaska,
It's kind of
Right.
fitting.
right?
Right.
And then the credits. But then after the credits, is it that Snake's body is like he's dead? His body is on the shore of the island they were on, which means that that's not actually Snake that went with her to Alaska, or I don't know.
I did not catch that.
I didn't catch that either.
Am I off here? I'm going from the video I
Technically,
watched.
you are right, but some of this is in the sequel.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was
No,
going
you're
off
right.
the video. I was going off the video I watched.
Okay, so in the sequel, there's something more about that not being Snake then?
Yes, that's all I will say.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I won't be getting the sequel this year, but I do want to play it. So, and there was one level that almost broke me a bit. There's one where you have to cross a bridge, and you can't cross it. Like, I thought, okay, I'll just throw chaff grenades and run across the bridge. Well, you can't do that because the game won't let you. I tried. You have to shoot all these cameras down. The problem is that's when you get the sniper rifle for, and I only had one stinger at the time, so it took me like 30 minutes of just discarding cards to get the cards I needed, and then wait again to discard more cards. I mean, it's my own fault because I could have changed my deck, but I liked having 40 cards. If you give me more cards, I'm going to put more cards in my deck. Whether I should or not, I will. Spoiler, you shouldn't, but I did. I mean, there were some cool levels, and the enemies do get harder as the game progresses. They get stronger, which makes sense. But Famas will still kill everybody just fine. So
It's explained in story too, right? Like, aren't they? Don't they say like the enemies are like also souped up on drugs too, or something?
yes, and they look different and they change out too as the game progresses. These different guards come in and eliminate the other guards. Like special forces come in. There's one level where you have guards on like a little like hover bike thing, like from Metal Gear Solid 3. Whew, that was annoying, by the way.
I hated those guys.
And you can't hit them with stingers, even though they are in a machine, but you cannot target them with a stinger for some reason.
That's weird.
Yeah, I found that out when I pulled out the stinger card. I said, ha ha, and I went, oh no, you fucking game.
Actually, that board you're talking about with the robots, if you go back and replay that board after, it replaces all of them with those flying guys.
Oh, I didn't replay any level. I
If
thought
you go
about
back-
it just to get cards and points, but I just couldn't get myself to do it.
It's kind of cool because they do make subtle changes to the boards when you go back to play them. Like sometimes they're tougher guards or the layout is different, so it does change it up a little bit.
I mean, it does make you replay levels, like you'll go as you travel, because the whole idea is that you're traveling across this base, so sometimes you'll travel across an area, you have to do a level over again, and it's a little bit different. It is a cool aspect, but you can also replay just any level and get new cards, like you were, yeah. I think if I had more time, I probably would have did that, because I could find this addictive, just collecting card packs. And I'm sure there's a certain level that people recommend to play to get more cards.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
assuming.
there is.
I
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah.
I just beat every level once and was just trying to get through this game. So I didn't know if I was going to beat this game in time. I beat it a few days in time, but I didn't know if I was going to. I was like, this is hard. And I didn't understand the movement system till we started talking. Because I had fucked up and put a few cards in my deck. And they're like, oh, it would say 10 next one. Oh, it means I can move 10 spaces. No, it means it's 10 cost, idiot. You're slowing yourself down for no reason when you're just using the card to move. So, yeah, my deck was not built correct, I found out. So, it's still a very cool game, and it's a love letter to Metal Gear Solid at this time. It just has some problems. I am very curious about Acid 2, especially if you say they fixed a lot of things that were wrong here. So,
Yeah, I am too, actually.
Yeah, it's much more streamlined and a lot faster.
it's also much shorter. How long to beat? Put this one at 21 hours and Acid 2 at 14 hours.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like the reason why this game is 21 hours is because you're going to have a stupid fuck up and there goes an hour or 2 hours of progress.
Mhm.
Or dumb shit like that, because there's some really stupid things that happen to me. Hey, anything else to say about this game?
I mean, just like what I say, like I think it's a good game. It's very interesting. It just has a lot of little things, little issues.
Yeah, it's just too much of the time. You can just tell. It wears a year on its sleeve. So I do have questions and comments. I have some more than I expected. People talked about this game. I did not expect that. So we'll go to question, comments, memories. First from the I watched the entire Blood Super replay from Reese Mahenick, friend of the show. Love both of those games. From Andrew Leon, haven't gotten around to playing the first one yet, but the second Acid game is my favorite PSP game. I collected all the cards and even beat the game on extreme mode. It introduced me to deck building games as one of the first tactical games I played, so it really expanded my gaming taste. And he also put, I really wish they would make a third game and include some quality of life improvements, like being able to save decks. This would have really helped me for the grinding runs. Yeah. Also, do you ever think this game will get ported?
Yeah, maybe it's the Master Collection if they do a second one.
I know that's what some people are thinking.
I think so. I'm not gonna lie. Playing this on like an emulator, it looks fucking amazing. Because it's the same emulator I used to play. Funny enough, another Konami game. I used to play Silent Hill Origins, and that also looked great. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, and fun fact for people that don't know, when on Vim, because Vim got hit with a bunch of Vim is a great ROM site that still exists, by the way. It's just missing it's missing a chunk of its catalog, but it's still there. This game was one of the games that was taken down from the ESA, and I'm like, why are you taking down a game from 2005 that doesn't exist on anything but the PSP, and it's a dead hardware? Like, I get certain games, but this, I was like, really? Like this? So maybe that's a sign that something's happening, but I could just be the ESA being stupid fucks, so I don't know. I'm going to go with stupid fucks, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, that day hurt me.
I don't blame you, bud.
I mean, I have other places I went to, but I was not happy. All right, and then I got some comments from the Metal Gear Solid Outer Heaven group from Sean Patrick. I preferred Acid 2 because the gameplay is more streamlined and a bit more initiative and faster paced, making it a lot more fun for me. But these games are amazing card battlers. I'm not even one for TCGs or anything like that, but these and Warhammer 40,000 Space Wolf are my favorite card battlers by far. I don't know that game, but I'm curious now. And from Ryan Miller, what does the cheat code Jehudi, I think that's what it was, do?
It it gives you the Jehudi card.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been nice.
It would have, because apparently it turns off all like mechanical objects in the room or something.
That would have been really nice. Okay, from Judd Kaler, I liked it. From Gustavo Adolfo, I haven't played Acid 1, but I love Acid 2. From William J, I liked it at the time a lot for what it was. I remember thinking Snake looked utterly jacked in the art for the game, but very normal in the game model. I always found that amusing. From what I remember, the story is kind of messy in that fun Metal Gear kind of way. All in all, I wish this would someday get revisited with an Acid 3. From Brandon Jordan, is it similar to Gwent? That's from Witcher.
Yeah.
I didn't think so either. Never played Witcher, by the way. From Jose Humana, I love this game so much. Acid 1 and Acid 2, best Metal Gear card game. Wish for an Acid 3. Well, I don't think that's going to happen.
Aren't they the only Metal Gear card game?
Yes. I don't know. From Seth Sutton, there was a board game being made based off this, but it was canceled.
Nope, they reactivated it. It's coming out in June. I mean, it's coming out soon. Yeah, they lost the rights and then they regained them. And I know this because I pre-ordered it. And I should be getting mine shortly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not surprised they lost the rights. Konami's like, we can't make a pachinko machine? What? So from Jason Mills, I liked the first one. The second one was hard for me to stay interested in. I own them both, but I've only played through the first. And then from Zephyr Weiss, I want this and I want a tabletop game. Well, it sounds like that's coming. From the official Laser Time community, from Ian Frederick, what do you think of the second one? Will you be covering it? I haven't played it, and yes, I will be at some point. And his rest of his comment, it took me a bit to get into the first, but it eventually clicked, and I had a good time with it. It was a very strange feeling to tie the movement and action to cards, but it had an interesting puzzle game feel once I was used to it. I think Midnight Suns is the best iteration of the card strategy RPG that has come out since. Yeah, you have no idea how quickly I'm like, oh, that game's being put on the schedule next year for sure. After I read that comment.
I should play that.
Yeah, I need to play that too.
I will give you both an excuse next year if you haven't by then. I can guarantee you. It won't be January probably, but it will happen because this game for me hit things where I'm like, I love this and I hate it at the same time, but something that came out way later with more quality of life, I'm gonna I'm gonna not stop playing it. And Marvel characters, I'm a sucker for that. From let's see what else I got here. Oh yeah, from Luke Betty. I still remember how hyped I was after seeing that single screenshot of Solid Snake shooting a machine gun in OPM. Assuming to be a traditional Metal Gear Solid game, I was kind of disappointed when I found out it wasn't that at all, but I still got it as soon as I got a PSP, and it does hold a special place in my heart. The gameplay is fairly satisfying, and I love the music you hear between levels. From Ivan Williams. Have far more patience with these games than the regular series gameplay. From Jesse Moore. I had fun with the first one. John Levitri, the Acid games are the best Metal Gear Solid games next to 3. Okay. From Harry Hernandez, they really should release a remake of this game. I love it, but finding a working PSP is an impossible task. Well, there's other ways.
Emulation's real. The PSP's really easy to emulate. It's not very powerful.
And that's all I got. Because the last group I posted in, they gave me one like and nobody commented. So yeah, they don't even get to be read. Yeah. Oh, and before we go to Shelf Stacker Box, I want to give away a code. I don't know if that came through. My wife was yelling for some reason. So, okay, let's see here. You know what? I'm going to give away a code because I don't know, just to get rid of it because I'm tired of looking at it. Here, you get The Walking Dead Michonne, a Telltale miniseries. The code is MIN9W H6EKE8NANA. That is your code for The Walking Dead Michonne, a Telltale miniseries.
You know, Michaelton, if you never want to continue The Walking Dead, we could always do that one because that one's like 3 episodes, and I heard it kind of sucks.
I just don't want to play any of them. So, I mean, problem.
The first Walking Dead game by Telltale, I played it like when it first came out as like where you could buy the whole thing at once instead of episode by episode, and I really enjoyed it. It's like it made me cry.
It's good.
I just can't see going like those games feel like very of their time. I just can't see going back to the Telltale series.
It's tough.
It's just very dated gameplay to me.
It's not super bad, I will admit though, because Mike had the conversation like at least every other year. Those games would just get really depressing. Like,
oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to want to do them on the show. Like we did the first one, we did 400 Days. And I don't know if I'll ever get to season 2. I'm just like, it's just so hard for me to want to play them.
Because season 2 is the roughest too.
Yeah, that doesn't make me want to play it more. I have a hard time with that world. Like, I can't even watch the show. I have no interest in reading the comic. The world is just too hard for me to be in. The world's shitty enough in the real world. I don't need a worse world. So it's hard. It's just one of those things that it's really hard for me to, I don't want to experience that world anymore, so I just stay away from it.
If you want a Telltale game that's not so bad, I'd recommend the Batman one. It's a pretty interesting take.
I played and beat both before this podcast. Both are awesome. I want to put them on the show, but I just don't really do Telltale games. I don't know. I mean, I have so many ideas, and I mean, I do put in more than 50 games in a year in this show because I do the minis I get in other games. But one day, the list of things I want to cover is a bit insane at times.
Look, Mike, you want to do me the hugest favor? We can do both Batman games a year apart. You could do it for Pride Month.
Okay. I should do it. Hey, you do Tell Me Why also. It's always free. Pride Month.
Yeah.
I'm curious about it. I like that style. I like Life is Strange a lot, which I did the first game.
The story's really good from what I've heard too. Like yeah.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe next year I'll do that. Remind me.
Okay.
When I start talking about the schedule, remind me. I'll put it on. All right, we should go to Shelf Stacker Box. And Joe, why don't you go first?
I technically didn't really play this, so I'd probably put it on the stack where it's, kind of hanging off to fall into the box, just because I feel like I didn't give it a good college try, but I see what's there because I see what you guys are talking about. It's pretty interesting, but also same thing as Kerry was talking about. I have seen where like there are 2 missions that carry on for 2 hours, and I'm just like, oh,
with no saving.
Yeah,
you got to add that part in. That's the kicker. Where if you die and you can die easy, everything didn't matter. Don't you love that when you're an adult and you don't only have so much time to play games? And Kerry, what about you?
I'm going to respectfully put it in the box. I think it's a good game, but I can't imagine ever playing it again.
No, that's fair. I'll go next. I'm actually going to put this on the shelf. I really, really enjoyed this game at times, and I really, really hated it at times. But had I just been emulating it, I would have loved it. And I was emulating it. Had I just used save states like I could have, I would have loved it, because then I would have corrected all my actions and never had any issues. So I do love what the game was doing. It's 2005, and if I had the time that I had in 2005, I wouldn't have cared. It is not 2020. It's not 2005 anymore, but I still just had a great time. The game is a love letter to people like me, to us, and I am so happy to finally have played this game. After all these years, I finally got to experience Metal Gear Acid. So it's going on the shelf. And what about you, Joseph?
I think I'm going to put it in the stack. I did enjoy aspects of this game. I mean, as we all mentioned, though, there are parts of it that are very frustrating and product of its time. But I do feel that the story, as crazy as it is, does carry the game quite a lot. It makes you want to keep going. And like I did like the boss fight with where it was like a puzzle, the puzzle maze. And there are interesting aspects to it. So I think I'll put it in the stack. Maybe something I'll pick up a couple of years from now. Try it again.
Okay. All right. And I should introduce what we're talking about next week. Next week, you can hear me talk about Alice Madness Returns. I am finally revisiting the Alice series after almost 5 years or 4 years, something like that. 4 or 5 years. It's episode 50 something. It's been a long fucking time. So you can hear about that next week. And Kerry, where can we find you at?
Hey, I'm on Twitch and YouTube as Karooseta, Kerooscta. I modify and repair video game consoles. Lately, I've just been streaming anytime I'm playing Elden Ring on my PS5, which is, about 200 hours over the last 3 weeks, which is one of the reasons I didn't finish this game. So if you want to watch me play the Elden Ring DLC and all that, then definitely check that out, or watch me repair a console, depending on what day it is.
Okay. And your son's still making his dragon puppets?
Yeah, he still has his YouTube. It's NatureP Dragon, so NATROPY space Dragon. Or I think _ Dragon or Dragons. You'll find it if you search for that. Okay. And yeah, he does that and other stuff. I don't know if he's really making. He made some today. He was like, oh, I want to build some wings. I was like, all right, build some wings. And he spent like 3 hours, and then comes in. He's got like wings attached to a backpack that he can flap by pulling strings.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. They're like, it's like 4 foot, like a 6 foot wingspan. It's pretty crazy. He made them out of paper and like these like wooden sticks that are kind of like kebab sticks, but not sharp. So okay. He's real creative, and his YouTube is popping off still. So
that's good. I always make sure every episode you're on has his show link stuff. So
I appreciate that a lot. Thank
you. Of course. One thing I try to do with the show is try to promote everyone else I can that works with me, all my friends. So we all try to promote everyone else I can that works with me. So we all just whatever works. You never know. And Joseph, I forgot to ask you off the air or before we start this episode. Do you have anything you wanted to plug?
Not yet. I'm working on a few things here. Hopefully, have them up shortly. But at the moment, just find me around the internet, Discord, different sites.
All right, speaking of Discord, join our Discord. You will see a link in the show notes. We're all on there. I think all of us are in that Discord. So definitely go join the Discord chat. It's free, and I have an updated link that's always in the show notes. So definitely go click it. It's always the same link. I made sure it didn't die. So it's always there. Please join, talk with us. I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Fury. Follow her on TikTok, Twitch, Instagram. You'll see a link to her link tree. Also want to give a shout out to Bill Tucker at A Gamer Looks at 40. Definitely go check him out. He's on the show quite often. Great friend of mine. He's doing the Final Fantasy. So if we want to hear Final Fantasy, he's doing it all the rest of the year. And if you want to support the show, we do a Patreon. Little $1 a month. You can vote in our Patreon poll. We have 1 to 2 every month, so you get to affect the show. Join that. Pay $1. Help support the show and help change the show. So, because stuff happens that I don't even want sometimes because people vote and I give them the choice. So, so that's how polls work. So definitely go do that. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok. Sometimes I'm trying to post more TikToks and I want to maybe blow that up someday, but who never knows if it'll happen. But you can find me on TikTok too and YouTube audio only. We are on there also. I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.